Hi everyone, hope you've been enjoying your Return to Dark Tower games if you've been lucky enough to get one yet. Some of us were talking in the Return to Dark Tower Facebook group about how difficult it can be to reach the other side of the board if you're playing solo, and we were talking about the idea of maybe using a Lazy Susan. So I wanted to talk to you today about what I'm doing. This is a $15 Lazy Susan I bought off Amazon US. I think it was about $15 if I remember correctly, with free Prime shipping. And it's 18 inches across, and I find that it works very well for both Dark Tower and Return to Dark Tower. Let's have a look. Okay, this is the original 1981 Dark Tower. I do have all the components, but I didn't bother to set them up just to show you the Lazy Susan. So I do have it here. It's now very easy to rotate. I can do it just with one finger quite easily. The only thing to be aware about here, because this particular Lazy Susan, you may have noticed, has kind of a little lip, and then it indents and goes like this to the other side and goes up. So when you put this approximately 24-inch board on the 18-inch Lazy Susan, the middle of the board kind of comes in like a V, and that didn't work really well. So all I did, I have a little plastic container about that thick that you hold screws and washers and nuts and bolts and things like that. It's round, it's like shaped like a coaster. I'll show you in a minute, but I put it under the middle of the board to kind of give it a little bit of lift, and now it's perfect. If you don't have one of those, I'm sure you could use a jar lid or a couple of coasters even, just to get the same effect. So if you can get a Lazy Susan that's flat all the way across instead of having a lip and then an indentation and then it goes over and then up again, that would probably be better, but this was the one I could find. So it works well enough. I just have to use that little plastic device to kind of give it a little bit of heft. Okay, and here's a quick look at what I'm talking about. This was what I used. It's just holds screws and things like that, or maybe even medication. I think that is probably intended for medication, but I use it for screws and things. So just put that kind of in the middle, and that works perfectly. And as I say, if that doesn't work, I'm sure a jar lid or something like that would be fine. But you can see here this kind of lip that I'm talking about. It indents down here and it's taller up here. And if this were even all the way across, you wouldn't need this thing. So if you can get a flat one, that would work just fine. Okay, so here's Return to Dark Tower, and this board is made a little differently, and it does not sag in the middle the way plain old Dark Tower does. So I do not need the coaster or that little plastic thing to hold the middle of the board up. I just use the Lazy Susan, and again, easily turnable with one finger. No problems here. So if you're just going to be playing Return to Dark Tower rather than the original Dark Tower, you can get away without that little plastic thing to hold the middle of the board up. But what happens if you want to use that awesome huge playmat that came with the Kickstarter? Let's try that. Well, this is not nearly as successful. It does not turn at all, and it's big, floppy. It doesn't lie flat. So what to do if you'd like to use this mat with a Lazy Susan? Well, let's take a look. Boom, talk about your overkill. This is a 36-inch round piece of wood that I bought at Lowe's. It's still in the plastic wrap, as you see here. It came that way, and I didn't want to take it out of the wrap until I tried it and made sure it worked fine. I thought maybe this might be too heavy for the Lazy Susan, but it is not. As you see, it turns easily with one finger. There's no undue weight. It's not screeching in protest. And that is more than large enough to play with the mat. Let's put it on. Okay, there it is with the mat set up. As you see, there is some extra, about an inch margin around. So if you want to, anything you want to put here or something, maybe it might fall too close to the edge, but maybe some cards laid sideways or something like that. But it still rotates very easy with just one finger. And again, I don't know that you would need this in a 4-player game, but if you're playing solo, which is so far the only way I've played the game, it does get irritating to have to stand up, walk around the table to see where the skull landed or to find where the exact location is you're supposed to spawn a monster. So this should make setting up a 1-player game much easier. I will put in the description where you can get all of these things, but to reiterate the cost again, the Lazy Susan 18-inch, it was from Amazon for about 15 bucks, I think. The wood, this big piece of wood, was from Lowe's. It cost me, I think, about $50, $51, something like that. And this wasn't a specialty cut. They sell wood already cut this size. So you can just, I just did where you order it on the website and then go and they bring it out to your car. So I didn't have to go in and bring measurements or anything like that. If you were cutting your own piece of wood, you could probably make it a little bit smaller than 36 inches, as you see here. Maybe 34 might work, but measure to be sure if you don't want that extra spill hanging over. But hopefully that'll give you some ideas to maximize your enjoyment of Return to Dark Tower and even the original game. Thanks.